I've never believed in ghosts or demons. Working at Telepizza, a high-end restaurant in the heart of the city, was just a job to me. It was supposed to be a stone, a way to pay for college, but it quickly turned into a descent into madness. My name is Alex. X is the story of the most horrifying night of my life. It all started on a cold, rainy evening. The kind of evening where people seek refuge indoors, under the warm glow of lights. Telepizza, with its plush red velvet seats, crystal chandeliers, and white linen tablecloths, was the perfect escape from the storm. The ambiance inside was warm and inviting, but little did I know it would soon turn into a nightmare. I had been working at Telepizza for almost a year. The clientele was always posh, with deep pockets and extravagant tastes. But that night, as I made my rounds serving exquisite dishes, I noticed something strange. The customers seemed different, almost sinister. They whispered amongst themselves in hushed tones, their eyes darting around the restaurant as if they were hiding something. One particular table caught my attention. A couple sat there, a man and a woman, both impeccably dressed in black. They ordered the same thing every time they came, a large pizza with extra anchovies and a bottle of red wine. But tonight, their order was different. They asked for a small table near the corner, away from the other patrons, and ordered a single glass of water each. As I approached their table with their water, I overheard their conversation. "Are you sure this is the place?" The man whispered, his voice trembling. "Yes," the woman replied, her eyes never leaving her glass. "This is where it all began." I couldn't make sense of their cryptic words, but it sent a shiver down my spine. I quickly moved away from their table, trying to shake off the unease that had settled over me. The night wore on, and the rain outside showed no sign of stopping. It was as if the storm itself was a part of the eerie atmosphere that had taken over the restaurant. My unease deepened as I continued to serve the odd clientele. They seemed disconnected from reality, lost in their own world of secrets and whispers. Then, something happened that made me question my sanity. I was carrying a tray of desserts to a table when I saw a reflection in the mirror. It was the couple again, but this time they were standing right behind me, their eyes wide with fear. I spun around, my heart pounding, but there was no one there. "Did you see that?" I asked my colleague, Sarah, who was nearby. "See what?" she replied, looking puzzled. I must have imagined it, I thought, attributing it to exhaustion and stress. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. As the night wore on, the atmosphere in Telepizza grew increasingly oppressive. The din of whispered conversations filled the air, and the oppressive ambience seemed to press down on me like a heavy weight. I needed a break, so I slipped into the kitchen, hoping the chaos outside would help me forget the strange occurrences. In the kitchen, I found Chef Antonio, a stout man with a thick mustache, busy with the dishes. He looked up at me, his brow furrowed. "Alex, have you noticed anything odd about the customers tonight?" he asked, his voice low. I nodded, relieved that someone else had noticed. "They're all acting weird, like they're hiding something," I replied. Antonio's expression grew graver. "There's something you should know. Telepizza has a dark history. This restaurant was built on the site of an old cemetery. When they excavated the land to build it, they disturbed something ancient, something evil. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It sounded like a ridiculous urban legend. "Come on, Antonio. You can't be serious," I scoffed. He turned to me, his eyes deadly serious. "I've seen things, Alex. Strange things. Customers disappearing into thin air, whispers in the dark corners, and the feeling of being watched. You'd be wise to leave this place." I left the kitchen, shaken by Antonio's words. But I couldn't just walk out in the middle of my shift. I had bills to pay and dreams to chase. So I pushed my fear aside and returned to the dining area. As the night drew to a close, the storm outside showed no sign of abating. The restaurant had grown eerily quiet, and the remaining patrons seemed even more on edge. The couple, too, had vanished without a trace. Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, the lights flickered and went out. Darkness swallowed the restaurant, and a collective gasp swept through the room. Panic set in, and then sound of chairs scraping against the floor filled the air as patrons tried to find their way out. I fumbled for my phone and turned on its flashlight, casting a feeble glow in the inky blackness. As I moved through the restaurant, I heard faint whispers echoing off the walls. "Leave this place. Run while you still can." The voices were all around me, but there was no one to be seen. The sense of impending doom I had felt all night intensified. My heart raced as I stumbled toward the entrance, desperate to escape the nightmare that Telepizza had become. Just as I reached the door, a blood-curdling scream pierced the darkness. It was Sarah. I turned back, shining my flashlight in the direction of her cry. There, in the dim light, I saw her, suspended in midair, her body contorted in unnatural ways. "Help me," she cried, her voice a distorted, agonized wail. I rushed toward her, but before I could reach her, she was thrown violently against the wall and fell to the ground, lifeless. My mind reeled in shock and horror. Then, as sudden as it had all begun, the lights flickered back to life. The restaurant was empty, save for Sarah's lifeless body on the floor. The whispers had ceased, and the oppressive atmosphere had lifted. It was as if the nightmare had never happened. I stumbled out of Telepizza, my mind in turmoil. The rain had finally stopped, and the first light of dawn was breaking on the horizon. I knew I had to go to the police, to tell them what had happened, but who would believe such a bizarre tale? In the end, I kept my silence. I quit my job at Telepizza and tried to forget that night, but the memories haunted my dreams. I couldn't escape the feeling that something malevolent lurked beneath the polished veneer of that prestigious restaurant. And so, I share a story now, not as a warning, for who would believe it, but as a testament to the darkness that can hide in the most unexpected places and the horrors that can lurk within the human soul. Whether it was the result of some ancient curse or the collective madness of the patrons that night, I may never know. But I do know this: the Telepizza I once knew was gone, replaced by a shadowy abyss of terror and despair.